All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show. Knicks win 112 to 108 in some pretty high pressure moments, which probably shouldn't have been the case. But they win the game. Fourth straight win, first win in Toronto since 2015. It's been a while. It's been a long 8 years since we've won in Toronto, but we finally did it. Thibs gets his 100th win as a Knicks coach, and vibes are starting to get on the up and up. I am Sam. I'm joined by Jeff and Tyrese. So yeah, I mean, I guess we can start with that fourth quarter. That's really where the Knicks it seemed that they were going to cruise to another win. Um, Deuce hits like a couple of threes, really gets the team, gives the team some breathing room. And you're like, all right, we're going to cruise to a win. It was like what, 108 to
97 or something. They were up 11 at one point.
No, they were actually up 16 at one point. We were up 105-89 with a little bit under 4 minutes left, and then
yes, there we go.
Somebody missed a three. Mitch got the offensive rebound, quickly got it on the move with like 12 seconds on the shot clock. He missed an open three. They went down. Gary Trent Jr. got fouled and hit 3 free throws. That was the peak of the game right there. It was
right.
Up 16, and then there was a big 6-point swing that started the downfall.
Yeah, then Randall had the bad pass, and then Fred VanVleet hit the three, and it's a 10-point game. And that's when I was like, all right, yeah, this is. I literally tweeted out, all right, some BS is about to happen. And then lo and behold, they start hitting like every unimaginable shot that you can imagine. And like we start like fumbling the ball in the backcourt. It's just like every type of BS that you can envision happening to the Knicks in that moment, it happens. And I'm like so tired of this happening to us. Like it feels like only shit like this happens to us. Like I know I saw the Cavs the other day pull off some like miracle versus the Bulls to get to overtime, but I feel like stuff like this continuously happens to us too frequently, like way too frequently. And like maybe it's a symptom of the way that we play at the end of games, how we slow down the pace to an excruciatingly like dead pace. And like maybe it could be like the type of offense that we run. I don't know what it is, but like we absolutely have the worst type of luck in these situations.
I think that we as fans can overgeneralize and try to just throw one blanket explanation for why things happen. I mean, we were here after every game last season, and we talked about, the stagnancy of the offense, the over-reliance on Julius Isos and running the offense through Alec Burks. And I'm not saying there isn't room to improve there this season. Actually, it's pretty much the same thing, except for we're running it through Brunson and Randall instead of Burks and Randall. So, like, yeah, we have better players in charge, but it's still a lot of the same stagnance. But let's be honest. We didn't lose this game, but if you include the Mavericks and the Bulls game, it's just been a lot of bullshit at the end of these games. A lot of stuff that just like you can't even break down from a rational X's and O's standpoints. Like, they had 3 threes in the last 2 minutes that were just total chucks that just they don't have to go in, and if they don't go in, the game's over. That Gary Trent Jr. one over quickly, especially, was just like a heave that just like he misses that the game's over, but instead he makes it. And I mean, we can't keep talking about like the stagnance because we can only call for Tibbs to run some offense so many times. Like you just got to hope the players make better decisions down the stretch. And I actually thought we saw some of that, and not surprisingly, I thought a lot of it correlated with when the offense ran through quickly. That three, I mean, some people didn't. I saw some people talking about how they didn't like the three. I'd bet it was a good shot from like a win percentage standpoint. Like attempting a three with 12 seconds left on the shot clock, an open three versus burning 12 seconds. It's at least close. But like the possessions that he dictated, that he initiated, he really just his feel for the game has just gotten so much better. So early in the fourth quarter, when he was running the show and Mitch was screening for him, they were blitzing like they blitzed RJ, if you guys remember that. At the end of the first Raptors game, they started excuse me, at the end of the Bulls game when RJ had it going, they started blitzing RJ when Mitch was for him. And they were doing that to Quickly, and they trapped him a couple times. And Quickly started seeing that coming, and whenever Van Vliet would turn around to see when the screen was coming, Quickly would just go and wrong foot him. And he really started creating advantages where there weren't supposed to be any. And yeah, I thought our offense actually moved the ball as good as I've seen it down the stretch for the most part, especially when Quickly ran the show. I don't know what you guys thought, but this is my long-winded way of saying I talk too much, but this is my long-winded way of saying if we lost this game tonight, I wouldn't have even blamed like the stagnance or anything. It was just a bunch of horse shit, like with the refs and with the stupid shots that went for the Raptors. I don't know. I know that's not the most exciting analysis, but that's my take on the end of the game.
Yeah, I thought the end of the game was definitely a lot of horse shit towards the end, a lot of malarkey, tomfoolery, if you want to call it that. Quickly's processing down the stretch was huge. I just kind of felt like he fits that lineup in a way that like nobody else in this team can, because his processing is so skilled, and the fact that he's able to do things with the ball in his hands and he's willing to take the shots that like a Deuce might not take or a Grimes might not take. Like he helped that lineup a ton, and his ability to process and essentially win us the game down the stretch because he built up that lead. His process did build up that lead, and if they didn't build up that lead, they would have lost this game. So,
Tyrese, we're like one more game, one more good Randall, good IQ performance away from you just going fully overboard and all NBA Randall appearing and RJ being the sixth man and IQ being four.
I already said it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I already said it on. Yeah. We're like right there. We're like right there at the entrance. Like, oh, the lineup plays better without RJ in it. If Brunson is healthy and IQ's healthy and Randall's healthy, with Grimes and Mitch, the lineup plays better. I would like to see the numbers on that. I would absolutely like to see the numbers on that first, but like from a processing standpoint, I feel like the lineup plays better, and it's not like they're missing RJ's production because Quickly has stepped in really well as a starter. I think he's putting up like 18, 19 on like 56 true shooting, 57 true shooting as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah.
It's not the starting lineup. It's just the team, because, and I think that's where, you know, even with Obi, like people say like, oh, Randall stepped up, so like they're not really missing Obi, but like, yeah, they are, because Obi's minutes are being replaced by Jericho Sims at the four. Like, and so even if you can say, well, Quickly's doing an admirable job stepping in for RJ, how much do we really miss him? It's not really Quickly versus RJ that should be the discussion. It's RJ versus Fournier, because the minutes that like Fournier and to some degree Deuce, who played really well tonight, the two of them are getting, RJ is just going to soak up when he comes back, and that's the big difference. And then one response to what you said about, you know, is the starting lineup better with Quickly, or excuse me, worse with RJ? I'm not sure it's RJ as much as it's just Quickly. Like, I would bet if we replaced Grimes with Quickly and put RJ in at small forward, we'd be like, oh, should Quickly be the starting shooting guard? Like, I think Quickly is just a really good basketball player.
That's true.
Yeah, he's very versatile to the point where like you can slot him in at any spot, and like there's a debate like, oh, should he be starting over this guy? Because like things just like flow way differently with him in that lead ball handler role, as well as just like when he's on the court in general. It just all this does though is it's gonna eventually have to force Thibs to, you know, expand his role even coming off the bench, which we are like very discouraged of him doing because like he hasn't shown any evidence of that. But I mean, like he would basically be a super six man on like any other team where like he's the guy coming off the bench, but like he's playing like starter minutes, or like he's playing close to starter minutes.
Like he's Tyler Hero essentially. Where
basically,
Tyler Hero still plays like 33 minutes a game, and he's essentially coming from the bench like last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, like he's the super sub.
And just, you know, one last thing on Quickly, I guess that's where we're starting, to toot his horn a bit more. You could make the argument that when he checked in with 5 seconds left in the third quarter through when Toronto called a timeout when we went up 11 with like 8 or 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, that was the biggest 3-minute stretch of the game. Like Toronto had cut it from 17 to tying the game. And then when quickly checked back in, we were up 1 with 5 seconds left. And Hartenstein was in at power forward next to another big. Randall was on the bench. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the vibes were low for me. I was just like, oh, this is another loss to Toronto. This team is so annoying. And quickly pretty much single-handedly drove the lead from 1 to 11. He had a 6-point stretch on his own. He with no help. Like it's my biggest complaint about this stretch has been I don't get why Deuce and Quickly are the ones who are thrown into the fire next to the Hartenstein-Sims front court. They're already at a disadvantage as initiators because they're just not right now. More so Deuce than Quickly, but they already struggle even with surrounded by good players. So now you're saying, okay, you're going to play with guys that the defense has no respect for. They're not going to even like care about. Good luck. And like, what does Tibbs expect it to look like most of the time? Like, of course it's going to look rough and lousy, and I just don't get it. But tonight he handled it well, and we took the lead from 1 to 11. And in my opinion, that was arguably the most important stretch of the game.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I guess we can go through the box score real quick. Randall led the way, started things off with an insane first quarter. I mean, that was probably one of the most insane quarters I've seen by Nick in a very long time. What was it, like 19 points on like 5 of 6 from 3 or something like that. At one point, it looked like he had tied the Knicks record for most threes in a quarter. But they took back one of the threes. But he finished with 32, 11, and 3. It was funny. There was a tweet that was going around. There was a couple of tweets. Someone had tweeted that like, oh, if Julius Randle drops 50, like they're gonna like switch. They're gonna switch watching sports to like badminton or something. And like everyone was retweeting it in like the first quarter because like Julius was going crazy. And like he looked like he was on pace for like a 50 ball in that first quarter. I mean, he had basically like 20 in the first quarter almost, but like things slowed down. As JB and other guys started getting going. So he finished with 32, 11, and 3 on 10 and 22 from the field. Hit 6 threes. So pretty great performance from him. Once again, he's continuing to be consistent with the scoring. But yeah, he led the team in scoring tonight, and then you had JB with 26, 5 and 8. JB really picked things up in that fourth quarter, especially getting that key and one down the stretch. That really helped like ease my nerves at the very least, because like once he got that and one, I was like, whew, all right, now let's hit the free throw. Let's hit the free throw, because he was in his head even earlier today with the take foul free throw. Like he missed it and like he looked pissed once again. And I was like, oh, he's still in his head about the free throws. But he ended the game finishing. I think he hit like the rest of his free throws for the rest of the game, basically.
No, he missed another one.
He missed another one? Okay, but yeah, after that he was like 5 of 7. So I mean, like pretty good recovery on the free throws from him today. But the two leading guys today were Randall and Brunson. How do we feel about their performances today?
I think the thing that I like the most about Randall, and I'm going to be real quick here because he's Tyrese's guy, so I'm very interested to hear what he has to say. I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to rein it in at all. But you're just not seeing – not only are you not seeing the really bad defensive possessions as much anymore, there was 1 or 2 tonight where he just got lost. But, I mean, whatever. That's going to happen. Yeah, it was you're actually seeing him go above and beyond to, like, make help plays and, like – sometimes his energy isn't always pointed in the right direction, but whatever. Like we'll sign for an engaged, energetic Julius who's looking for ways to help outside of his primary assignment any day of the week. Like sign me up for that right now. And he tried to help. He tried to help on another chase down block. He missed it this time, but the effort was appreciated nonetheless. I know he had his shot going, but like, from a purely rational standpoint, like how many of his threes were like great shots? I don't know. Like, I don't know how to judge that because I don't know what it's like to be an NBA player in the zone.
There were bad shots. There were bad
Right.
shots, but when you're in the zone,
Yeah.
it's kind of like excusable. Like I was
Yeah.
sort of in awe in like every other shot after was like even more difficult than the last one, and he just kept hitting them. But yeah, he slowed down after that first quarter. I think the Raptors game plan not only that, but like just him just naturally like settling into like the game itself, like just he cooled him off. But yeah, like those were bad shots. But like when you're in the zone,
and not to
flies.
not to like make excuses, but the Raptors pretty much have their strategy is pretty much the refs won't call fouls every time down, so we're going to get into you every time. Like Fred VanVleet should, if this was like a preseason game, would have had 13 fouls on Randall alone. He was just basically
He's a hack. They're all hacks. They're all
Right.
hacks.
And Randall is so strong, he makes that contact look normal. He's not, a 6'11", 110-pound walking flail like Siakam, who just, gets a foul every time he's blown on. And so, I mean, Randall, there's some excuse to be made. I just want to say the thing that bothers me the most, and the thing that the Raptors capitalize the most on, is Randall is still such a slow processor that when he turns his back to the basket, like late in the shot clock, it's like he doesn't have a plan at all. And the Raptors just like sent these doubles, and we had multiple shot clock violations because Randall just pretty much stopped paying it. Like not wasn't paying attention, but just like he didn't process what the plan was fast enough. So I hope that improves as we go on and his decision making gets a little quicker.
I think it's all a matter of like scheme with that too, because like I feel like the way that we set him up, it's very easy for him to get trapped like that. Like he's basically surrounded on all sides. He has the two defenders, and he has the baseline, and he has the sideline. Like he has nowhere to go when he's doubled in those situations, which is a result of us like posting him up constantly and trying to get him those mid ISO baskets so often too. So.
And like the Raptors are great at generating steals, so like the passes that you would normally see that him make out of like double teams stuff like that, they weren't available because like even when Grimes relocates someone like Gary Trent, who'd be playing free safety, and he basically like roaming around the baseline, or like OG Anunoby's there, and he has a long wingspan, and he can like interrupt passes as well. So the Raptors are just a really bad matchup for us defensively, because I feel like their length on defense just makes a lot of our actions harder, and they're able to bother Randall and bother Brunson in ways that a lot of teams can't. But like you said, like that was probably one of the 5 greatest heat checks I've ever watched from a Knick, because it was all of them were step backs. Like all of them were step backs, and he was throwing them up, and they were still going in. I've never seen that before, where like he was literally looking for fouls on some of them, and they were going in.
Yeah.
So once that happens, then like the green light is massive, and you can't stop whatever happens afterwards. Like it's just gonna be there. Like you have to live with that green light. But yeah, I thought it was a really strong game. I think he's been playing at an all NBA level right now. Like I think right now, with Zion being hurt, AD being hurt, I think there's a strong case for him to be like a top 5 power forward right now. I mean, I think at this point we've ended the All-Star conversation. I think he's going to get in. Like, there's no way he isn't. And yeah, like it's a credit to him to be able to reinvent his game again after reinventing it last year, after reinventing it the year before, and he's been able to put in a position where like he's basically a 60 true shooting 25-10 guy every night, and by hook or by crook, that's a very, very good thing to be in the NBA, given how much we value efficiency and how much we need his scoring. And he's doing it with the minutes load that not a lot of guys play either. So credit to him. I think he's been on a great run. And yeah, I was right. Everybody can suck it. I was right. They said I was lying, and they said they should trade him for a bag of beans and protected picks. And I told y'all, hold the stock. I said hold. I treated it like GameStop. Buy the dip.
I mean, we have reached that time. You could tell it with Randall tonight. We have reached that time where Randall's going to start taking any matchup with someone who's considered an all-star over him personally.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if you guys remember that in 2020, 2021, but like every time there was a guy that Randall was like in Randall's tier, like Sabonis, he would just be like, all right, I'm going crazy tonight. Like this guy ain't better than me. And I feel like he did that to Siakam tonight. And I know they're not a direct matchup, but I'm very interested to see the Halliburton Randall matchup because I feel like they're both going to go into it with a chip on their shoulder.
Credit to the Knicks defense today for the way they limited Siakam after like he completely like absolutely abused us at MSG. So for us to go into his house and shut him down basically was great. Great revenge by the Knicks there. Something that subtly will like go under the radar, I think. Yeah, because everyone will talk about the near collapse, but I think the way that we played Siakam was pretty good.
Not just pretty good, really good. He was what, like 4 for 15 from the field. Like if he doesn't get if he's not getting all those foul calls that they don't seem to call for anybody else. I mean, this is one of his worst games of the season.
Yeah, easily.
And it was really a team effort. Like a lot of times you can be like, oh, like Grimes just put on an island versus him, or Mitch had to guard Embiid. But like I can think back to times when Quickly, Grimes, all the like Mitch, Randall, all four of those being the four main guys, all had took their turns and just did a really good job contesting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been liking to see the team defense has been really strong lately. I feel like a lot of guys are helping out, and the energy has been infectious, especially in the defensive end. Yeah, it's just been really good to see like this team play defense with a chip on their shoulder the way they did in 2020, 2021. And it just feels good when the Knicks play defense. I think more than other teams. The Knicks playing defense just feels like a representation of like what the team is about. Like gritty, they play physical, they play tough. And like you hear a lot of coaches say that how they play physical and tough and like how they beat us up on the board and stuff. And I feel like this team is starting to embrace that identity. And the offense is now like firing as well. So top 10 offense, top 10 defense, top 10 net rating. Like at this point, you're basically seeing this is a good team that needs a little bit of help closing because they're still young, mind you, because aside from Brunson and Randall, everybody else is 25 and younger. But yeah, this is a good team with a good identity, and they're playing good basketball.
Top 10 offense, too.
Yeah, top 10 offense, top 10 defense, top 10 net rating.
Interestingly enough, I think they're ninth in all. I just checked. I think they're across the board ninth. Ninth in offense, ninth in defense. Oh, eighth in net rating. So
there we go.
It's pretty sick, though. I mean, I was saying on Twitter earlier today, like having a good defense is standard Tibbs, but having a good offense is really, really important because it sort of allows Tibbs to like, okay, I don't have to do anything about the offense. And if we play someone, he can build a defensive scheme and elevate the defense. Like if you're gonna have Tibbs be your head coach, you sort of want the team to be able to perform offensively outside of his limitations and just let him hone in on the defense.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. Before we get into comments, it's time for everyone's favorite part of these shows. All right, here we go. NBA season is heating up. When I'm looking to get in on the action, I bet with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pre-game moneyline on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, total rebounds, and more. The more legs you add, the bigger the boost, the bigger your shot to win big. Oh, man. Another bet came down to one leg today. Don't be like me, folks.
What was it?
So I had a 5-4-3-2 parlay of Julius 5 threes,
Okay.
Quentin 4 threes, Emmanuel Quickly 3 threes,
Nope.
and Jalen Brunson 2 threes. everything hit but Emmanuel quickly. If I had just swapped him out for Deuce, it would have hit, surprisingly enough.
Oh, they didn't want you to get money.
No, they did not. Vegas made the call to Emmanuel quickly after he's been lighting it up lately, but it is what it is. Don't be like me, folks, but download the app now.
I can't believe, Sam, you still bet after that Jalen Duren bet. Like, that would have been it for me.
Yeah.
I would have just retired.
He was retired. He came back.
Yeah, I was retired.
This is your Jordan 45. This is not going well for you.
Yeah, I retired. I came back, though.
No, 45 is pushing. This is your Wizards.
No.
This is your Wizards, bro. Oh.
I'm getting my lick back, man. I'm getting my lick back. One way or another, I'm getting it back.
What's the number we gotta call?
Anyways, download the app now. Sign up with code TBPN. Place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code TBPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligible restrictions apply. See show notes or show description for details. All right, enough about my gambling. Let's talk about the Knicks and how they won this game. Chris Bernhardt says Raptors play defense like 4-year-olds at the park, just slapping and throwing elbows at you. That's a great like comparison. They definitely play like that. The defense that Fred VanVleet is allowed to get away with is just absolutely insane to me, and I think it's because he's short. The refs have sympathy for him. But
and everybody's in on it. Wally was praising him tonight. Wally was like, "Oh, look at how strong and his
strong and stout defender." It's like, no, he's like slapping our players. Like, what are we doing here?
Just like the way they play is so, like, you can tell it's a lot of just them being tall. They don't look
all long and like annoying and slapping you and like. I mean, Donovan Mitchell had the perfect like explanation for like when he played against them. Like he had a quote after the game, and like everybody was quoting it. Like, yeah, everybody hates playing against the Raptors. They're mad annoying.
Yeah, like it's just weight in the water ball, and it's just dudes who are just gonna come out of nowhere and slap you and take you to the gutter. Like it's not fun to play against defensively, but the problem is their offense stinks as well. So you're just like.
You just got to outshoot them, basically. Like, you got to just pray that you outshoot them because it's like...
I mean, it helps when, like, all their dudes are playing, like, 45 minutes a night because...
Yeah, they're all gassed.
Because Nick Nurse is... Like, you thought Tibbs was bad with the minutes distribution. Nick Nurse is actually committing war crimes.
I mean, they're calling for him to get fired, so, that's how you know it's really bad in Toronto.
They're calling for Nick Nurse to get fired. Like...
That guy used to be their Lord and Savior.
First of all, that's going to be ridiculous because, like, they're not getting rid of Nick Nurse. Like, but, yeah, man, the minutes are wild, but, like, their bench stinks. So I don't even know where the minutes are supposed to be coming from. Like, Malachi Flynn? They played Thaddeus Young, and Thaddeus Young literally did nothing for them. So did Precious Achiuwa.
I mean, he elbowed Hartenstein in the face. He did something.
Didn't even knock him down. Who cares?
It's insane. I will say, though, regarding Chris's comment, I do wish that the Knicks, the Raptors, like, their main parlay is they're basically parlaying the fact that refs can only call so many fouls. Like, everyone knows that the refs aren't trying to ruin the games. Well, not trying. They do sometimes. But they're not just going to, like, foul out a whole team. There's only so many fouls they're going to call. And I sort of wish that the Knicks would be more strategic sometimes. Like when Julius Randle, has a matchup, like the other team's best player is in his matchup range, especially when it's someone who draws a lot of fouls, there's merit to just putting Randle on him because the refs aren't going to call fouls on Randle the way they do. Like you see it with the really on the line calls. They'll call it on quickly. They'll call quickly for a carry. They'll call quickly for that little shuffle, catch and shuffle travel, but they'll never call it on a star. And Randle, like him or love him or don't like him, he's, the closest thing we have to a star right now. And I think that we should capitalize on that with who we match him up versus sometimes at least.
Okay, to correct that, he is a star. Like, he's a star. If you make the All-Star team, likely 2 times in 3 years, you're a star.
Fair enough. I'm sorry for insulting your guy, Tyrese.
Respect-
His Lord and Savior.
The shrine is up for a reason, damn it.
All right, let's get to another comment. Hug Life says Scotty Barnes is glorified Jared Jeffries. Man, the fall from grace from Scotty Barnes is one to be duly noted. I know he's in his second year, but I mean, to go from that rookie of the year to like looking like how he does in this year, it's kind of rough.
Mitchell Robinson took something personal against Scotty Barnes because Mitchell Robinson literally just swatches shit so many times a game. He probably swatted Scotty's ball like 5 times and they just didn't call it blocks. Like he was.
Well, I mean, he got fouled out today because some of those weren't fouls.
They weren't, but like Scotty Barnes was just getting demolished on both ends. Or like he couldn't score against Mitchell, and then Mitchell would just come back to the other end and dunk it. Like, what did Scotty Barnes do to Mitchell Robinson? I'm not sure, but.
And also, what was he doing that final possession? There's no way Nurse wanted him to do that. Like, go inside the arc. Taking it to it all was moronic.
And he missed.
Yeah.
And he missed the follow-up.
It's bad, man. It's bad.
He's had a rough second year.
Like, there's sophomore slumps, and then there's whatever Scotty Barnes is going through. It's bad.
Yeah.
He does not want to shoot. I've never seen somebody go from rookie of the year to not want to shoot. It's Ben Simmons-esque. But he just does not want the ball. I think he only took I don't even know how many shots he took, but how many of those shots were straight up. He took 10 shots tonight.
Syndrome.
And a lot of those 10 shots came in the fourth quarter when they were trying to come back.
It's that jumbo guard syndrome.
And some of them think he's a point guard. What?
Let them keep thinking that.
They're like he's a point guard, he's a center. I don't know what he is, but I know right now he isn't good.
It's surprising to me they don't run more through Van Vliet. At least based on this game. If they ran some sort of motion offense, there is something there to their sort of wing heavy unit because in a vacuum, OG, Siakam, Van Vliet, Trent, and if Barnes last year is the true version of him and this is just slump, that's 5 good players. This should work on some level, and they shouldn't be what they are now. I don't care if they don't have a bench. This team should be better. And so I understand Raptors fans' frustration with Nurse if they think his offense isn't, geared in the right direction or if it's not creative enough. I don't know what their critiques are of him, but I get it. If I was a Raptors fan and these guys were on my team, I would expect them to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's house is burning on your block?
Dude, I don't know. The freeway out here is just wild. You just hear stuff. Ugh. But yeah, they look so lost offensively, and they should not be lost given their personnel. Gary Trent Jr. is a legitimately good player. Also, I don't know what they're going to do with Gary Trent Jr. I feel like they might trade him because he has the team option. He has the player option this coming off season, and I mean, he's not a shooter. He's not a passer or somebody who really plays significant defense. But
he's just a shooter.
Yeah, he's just a shooter. So
are they just going to trade everyone though? Couldn't you see Masai doing that? First of all, Masai seems like one of those guys who played a lot of Madden growing up and enjoyed building the franchise more than having it. I could see Masai enjoying just being all right, let's start over. Let's see what I can do with Scotty Barnes and a bunch of draft picks. Let's go that route.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah. But also Siakam and Van Vliet, they're both close to 30, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Van Vliet. I think Siakam is 29, and Van Vliet might be 29 as well.
This is a Knicks postgame, so let's veer it back to that. That is the most underrated part about what the Knicks are doing right now, is that aside from Randall and Brunson, everyone is 23 and under. This isn't supposed to be a team that's legitimately contending. And obviously we don't think this team is contending at the highest level, or at least I don't think you guys do either. But what they're doing is impressive. This isn't like if this was another team, if you just put the Oklahoma City Thunder with this roster and this success, this would be like the success story of the season, in my opinion. You've got an average roster of under 24 years old, and they're top 10 in all the advanced stats on both sides of the ball. This is a good team. And yeah, I mean, I think we as Knicks fans, like, not that we shouldn't have complaints, or should just be perfectly content, but I just think we should be really happy.
Should feel vindicated.
But have you ever considered the fact that Jalen Brunson won't lead us to an NBA Finals, which means that this team sucks and he should blow up everything? Why are we not trading everybody for 2 draft picks?
I actually had a pretty interesting conversation with my dad last night. I was talking to him about I think Brunson, I don't think he can be the best player on a championship team, but would you say we all agree that he can be the starting point guard on a championship team?
Of course.
Yeah.
So, and then would you guys agree that Quentin Grimes is about as ideal a fit at shooting guard as it gets next to Jalen Brunson?
Yes.
So what is the next step? Like, because I don't think we're getting rid of Randall. I think Mitch is like rounding into becoming a good fit next to Randall. And so is our next step basically betting if RJ makes a leap or not? And if he doesn't make a leap, we basically try to get a better version of, is that our next step?
Basically.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I feel like at this point you kind of know from the front offices all season that like they're like, you know what? I said it coming into season. I was like, it's Randall and RJ essentially playing for who's going to be in the team when the big trade happens. And at this point, Randall is playing himself into being a part of the team for the long haul, whether you're a fan of that or not. It's up to you. But at the same time, like, it's going to be hard to trade the guy who's made two All-Star teams and is right now your best player for a guy who may not even make one and does not look like your best player of the 3. And when he's not playing, the 6th man is coming in, and he's basically got the lineup going without a hitch. So I kind of feel like at this point, you're looking at maybe, okay, what can we get for RJ Barrett? They tried it last year with Donovan Mitchell. They weren't comfortable making the trade, given the unprotected picks. I feel like now that you have a star and like another star-esque player, like, okay, would you say that Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle are both top 40 players right now? Yeah. So at that point,
definitely.
Yeah. So I think at this point, Sam, you're muted, by the way.
I was coughing. But yeah, I would say if they continue to play in the way they are right now, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think having 2 top 40 players on the roster this year, when last year they barely had a top 50 player. I think now the front office is more inclined to make that trade. Like, if Donovan Mitchell was available this offseason, I feel like it happens. But last offseason, like, there were too many unknowns. Now it's, okay, we have Grimes. We know he fits in. We have IQ. We know he fits in. Randall's playing like a star. He's going to be at the All-Star game. Mitchell Robinson is playing like an all-defensive caliber player. Like, now we have 2-year sample sizes of guys. Brunson had a really good playoff run. It's basically extended out to the regular season for this year in a high-usage role. It really just kind of feels like you're looking for RJ Barrett to make that leap, and if he doesn't make that leap, then you can use him as like the basis of a trade because of his salary, and you could probably save yourself some of the depth that you would normally have to trade out in a deal like that because RJ Barrett carries a big cap hit now.
I'm not sure though that, and I know you were just saying that name, but to go along with what we're saying, I'm not sure that Mitchell is the guy that like the front office wants. Like, in the sense of, I think they understand that Brunson needs a Grimes next to him. I think they want a star on the wing. And whether that's Jaylen Brown, I think that, or whether it's RJ Barrett, like, I think they're legitimately invested to see if RJ Barrett can make that leap. But I think if the time ever comes when they're like, okay, like either RJ Barrett, we're not sure he's going to make the leap, or a star is legitimately available, I think they're going to go after someone to replace RJ at the 3 because I think they really like the Brunson Grimes dynamic in the backcourt.
LeBron.
That's what the interview is about tonight. He's requesting a trade to the Knicks.
I mean, they can't trade him this season, but this all season, don't sleep. Former agent Leon Rose Worldwide West.
This is an interesting stat from tonight. Shout out to Jonas Ben Khalifa. The Knicks plus minus was hilarious tonight. Quentin Grimes and JB were both minuses, while Fournier was a plus 23. Wow. I mean, I tweeted out today, I said like Fournier and Fartenstein's minutes weren't like absolute killers for the most part. I think that had mainly to do with like IQ and Deuce like making things work. But like I think it also has to do with like the Raptors being like not be able to capitalize offensively on those two defensive like mishaps on the court. So it's like I think it's like a product of like the opponent as well as like, you know, just some other guys on our team were able to keep the lineup afloat as well.
Yeah. I mean, not just Fournier being plus 23, but like if you look at the starting lineup plus minuses make me laugh because, you know, everybody is a negative except Quickly, who's plus 9. Oh, and Randall's plus 2. But like, you know, I just think back to all the conversations that me and Sam and Tyrese, the three of us have had where people have been like, well, of course, Quickly's plus minuses are high. He comes off the bench as if it's just like it's automatic. You come off the bench. But no, he opts in the starting lineup. And wouldn't you know it, he's just impactful again, like at the highest level. He's just an impactful player. And like, I think Knicks fans are starting to get it. I think they're starting to figure out.
I think all they needed to see was see him start and put up the same numbers that he does when he comes off the bench. And they're like, oh, he's doing it against starters now. He's good. Yay. Like the light bulb finally goes off for, you know, the dense heads.
Do you guys think we're going to reach a point this season where the games where we keep playing well enough, like, and the games start mattering more for like high seeding, not having to deal with the play-in, eventually, hopefully playoff games. Do you guys think we're going to reach a point where Tibbs is just going to say, screw it, I'm playing Brunson, Grimes, and Quickly all 96 guard minutes?
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think we're going to probably get there soon. There's probably going to be a trade before the trade deadline. Like, I think the 10-man rotation is going to come back into play soon because I think the front office is going to be like, yeah, we need a wing shooter because they need a wing shooter. And I can absolutely see them going, okay, Deuce, thanks for the minutes. Your situation now. And we'll have you come in for like the end of quarters to play press defense. Yeah, I could absolutely see them going, okay, 2 of Brunson, Grimes, and IQ on the floor at all times. Because that's basically the way you get IQ minutes. You make him take deuces.
Yeah, because the thing is that there was that, you know, report today that came out that the Knicks are not interested in trading Quickly anymore, which is good. We should all be happy about that. But we know how Tibbs rotates. We know that bench players are one shift per half players. If when RJ comes back, Quickly reverts to getting 18 to 22 minutes a game, playing, you know, 1 9-minute shift per half, and then maybe that shift is up to 11 or 12 minutes or 13 minutes if he's playing really well. I don't know if after this stretch as a starter, I don't know how you get him to buy into that again, in my opinion. I mean, he's already sacrificed and bought into this so much. I don't know. That concerns me a little bit.
Yeah, I really do think this is going to be a matter of, like, for Quickly especially, it's like, remember, this is the season to get paid. He's extension eligible in the offseason. And I kind of feel like he's thinking to himself, I'm playing like a good starter in this league. Like, you have to give me the minutes to compensate. And Deuce, like, I think we all enjoy Deuce's defense, but at the same time, like, he isn't somebody who should be a long-term priority for the front office, just given the fact that they have so much draft capital and how easy it is to acquire talent and how easy it is for this front office themselves to acquire talent, that it's hard for me to go, well, you have to keep Deuce's minutes in the rotation. Because I'm like, if you could just give 12 minutes to Quickly more and take it from like 22 minutes to like 33, 34 minutes, then I think that's a win.
I totally agree. I mean, as much as like I want to see as many young guys in the rotation and on the court as possible. I mean, Deuce isn't playing like he played tonight every single night, so it's like he's either hit or miss on offense. And like we all said, we all admire the defense, but offensively, if he's not hitting shots like he did tonight, then it's like it's very rough out there.
And you can see he had multiple times tonight where he had the ball as an initiator and got 2 feet near the free throw line and was just like, oh God, like he has no confidence once he gets beyond the 3-point line. It is nice to see him hit shots. And he was such a good, I mean, Tyrese, you can expand on this a little bit, but if I recall correctly, he was a good finisher in college, like at getting into the paint. And he was, as the lead initiator, he was constantly getting to the rim, right?
It was more like he got midi pull-ups whenever he wanted to. Him getting 2 feet in the paint was like a hit or miss thing, and his finishing was hit or miss. But he basically had an automatic midi pull-up, and he shot 40% from three. So when you do those things, then like you're seen as like a decently you're seen as a decent prospect. Plus his defense was just again hounding. So it was a matter of like how good can his offensive game be. But I think he just looks uncomfortable with the ball in his hands, which is weird because I figured that would be his strength and playing off ball would be the thing he needed to change. But it just kind of feels like he's not confident with the ball in his hands because the handle's not there. I think the burst is there, the handle's not. And it just kind of feels like he's deferring to Quickly in the half court a lot. Where like, also I think it's funny when people are like, "Oh, McBride's the point guard and Quickly's the shooting guard." No, like
It's the other way around.
Like McBride did nothing on the ball, literally nothing on the ball. Like the connected passing that McBride even had, like he's not even doing that anymore. He's literally just throwing it back to Quickly and having him reinitiate sets. He might as well just be Jericho Sims with like died here, because the way he's playing offense is essentially like, it's not good, not good.
Right. What you guys just said too, though, about us eventually reaching a point where, you know, where Grimes, Brunson, and Quickly are the only 3 guards we're playing. It's why there's a ton of value in emphasizing the versatility of players, because if you create a shift, or excuse me, a rotation where it's Brunson and Grimes start, Quickly comes in for Grimes, Grimes comes in for Brunson, and then Brunson eventually comes back in for Quickly, you know, you have that little sort of, you're getting them all 15 minutes a half or something. Well, we're now seeing that Grimes can play the 3 because he's the starting small forward next to Quickly right now, and he's more than holding his own as a small forward. Now, all of a sudden, take that to the next step. Well, does it have to be Grimes is coming back in for Quickly or Brunson's coming back in for Quickly in the second quarter? What if RJ is struggling, but both Quickly and Grimes have it going? Now, all of a sudden, we can close second halves with the 3 of them, you know, and that is just the first domino to fall. Once you understand that positional diversity or versatility is a good thing, there are multiple dominoes to fall after that. And then what if we embrace RJ as a small ball 4?
Yep.
Okay, there can be a night when all 4 of Brunson, Quickly, Grimes, and RJ have it going, and Randall's struggling. We could close a half with the 4 of them plus Mitch, you know. And I'm not saying, I know Randall's playing great. That wasn't meant to shade at him. I'm just saying that the 3 of us have been saying for almost 10 months now, the biggest strength of this team is its versatility. We have so many guys who can play multiple positions. And that has always been the most frustrating thing about Tibbs, is he basically just says, okay, I have 2 lineups that I like. I'm going to play those 2 lineups. But like, we should be seeing 20 different lineup combinations with all these guys getting to play with all these different combinations. And we're just now we're just now barely touching the surface. And there's such a high ceiling as far as a rotation standpoint. And I hope it keeps expanding.
Like even Tibbs said that he sees Grimes as a 4 in some instances. Like he can play 1 to 4.
Oh,
yeah. Like he was saying that about Grimes earlier. He was saying how Quickly versatile as well. Like it's weird that a coach that basically talks about their versatility doesn't utilize their versatility. Like why have we not seen a Deuce, IQ, Grimes, RJ, Randall lineup just for like a 4-minute stretch? Just a 4-minute stretch where like those guys could just like go and just switch everything. And the paint is open for Randall and RJ, and they could just like get trips to the line, like trips to the line and trips to the rim.
Tibbs is king of talking about things that he likes, but never actually like doing it. Like he used to talk about how he loved Emmanuel Quickly so much and refused to start him. He's finally starting him this year, and wow, what a surprise! Emmanuel Quickly is actually pretty damn good as a starter. Like he's putting up like numbers that like his other peers that, you know, get opportunities, you know, put up. like Tyler Hero and like Tyrese Maxey and Desmond Bain. Like he's putting up similar numbers to them as a starter. Wow, what a shock. Who could have seen this coming? Oh, wait, every other smart Knicks fan, just like us. It's like insane. But yeah, I mean, like it all relates back to like all this lineup versatility that we've been talking about. It's gonna be like, oh my gosh, look what Thibs has found. He's found gold. Like as soon as he does it, like reporters and all that other media stuff, they're gonna be like frothing at the mouth to like praise him for like discovering like this new gold in the Knicks lineup that like fans have been calling for forever. The same thing once he did the lineup change this year, it was like, oh my gosh, everyone's got to give Thibs credit. Like, no, just
the weirdest part about it too is, and Sam talked about this in March or something. When Tibbs likes something, he sees the positives. So like, and so like, if I mean, Tyrese, the lineup you just said, every other coach, we would have seen that lineup. We would have seen some version of that lineup of Randall at center with just like a bunch of small wings and guards who can shoot, and just to see what would happen. But if you ask Tibbs about that, Tibbs would say, "Oh, well, I value protecting the rim," and he would give, not that those reasons don't have validity, but how come when it's Sims at power forward, he doesn't ever point out the flaw in that? Because that's not some perfect lineup. So why is the standard for an undersized lineup, it has to be able to do every single thing. It has to be able to check every single box. But then with other lineups that are clearly flawed and clearly have limitations, it's just like, oh, well, they can protect the rim, so that's all that matters. It's like for the things he likes, he sees them for what they can do, and the things he doesn't like, all he sees is what they can't do. And it's very, very weird to me.
Very old-fashioned style of coaching.
It's just so weird that this team is being so mismanaged and they're still top 10 in their every metric. Like, it's nuts. Like, the 2021 team, they were a garbage offense. We all knew it. It was a really bad offense, but the defense was fantastic, and you could credit Tibbs for having a defensive scheme. This team is almost as good as that team was defensively. The rating won't show it, but I feel like this team is more versatile defensively. I feel like they have better defenders, and I feel like realistically, even though the scheme hasn't changed that much, the scheme has changed enough to where like Randall's switching more, Grimes is roaming more, IQ is like just improves as a defender to the point where like they're better defensively than they were 2 years ago, and the offense has ticked up significantly as well. And they're firing on all cylinders essentially, but it still feels like there's more to go. It kind of feels like this team is like at 50%. If you play any video games, like this team could be a new Game Plus. It's just like they can have everything and they're still just kind of like vanilla. And we should blame Tibbs for it realistically, but like the fact that he's even gotten us to this point, it shows that A, the roster construction is very strong, and B, it still can be so much better. So
they definitely have improved in some areas. Some of it's just effort. Like they're still doing the thing where the weak side corner defender hedges down to the paint, to cut off rim drives, and then they have to recover. They've just gotten better at scrambling. One thing that I saw tonight that sort of worried me a little bit is, have you guys noticed that when a guy dribbles from like the 3-point line and he goes to the middle, like he tries to penetrate that way, the guy on the other side always helps at the nail? You know what I'm talking about? Like the other perimeter defender will always sort of dig down and cut him off at the nail to stop him from getting at the paint. The Raptors really started expecting that and making the pass early to that shooter who the nail helper is helping off of. And they got a number of open 3-point looks. That's like, I don't know, I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more because I feel like that's another way for teams to exploit the Knicks' overprotection of the paint and get more open 3-point looks.
Yeah, there's so much low-hanging fruit. There's so much low-hanging fruit in this team. Like, I remember that they started off poorly as well because they were like fighting for their lives in purgatory before the Grimes change, and since then they basically won 12-5. They've been 12-5 since then. So yeah. So yeah, like they
Did either of you guys hear this bar from Wally? Nothing like that deodorant that smells like winning.
Wow.
Wally was on. Well, I don't know what he was on, but he was on something that should not be licensed in the United States because he was saying some shit, to put it lightly. He was just saying some shit. I don't know why they stopped casting Han. Han was great. I liked Han.
Yeah, Han's much better than Wally.
And
I thought
Han
they
was
took I thought they took Wally off because of the whole Tyrese Halliburton thing. I was like, oh, interesting. But no. They just wanted to try Han, I guess.
I mean, like, and then they have the B team tonight. Couldn't even get us Ed Cohen, Jeremy's cousin. But like, shout out to the friend of the stream, Jeremy's Cohen. But like, yeah, Wally is not my cup of tea. I don't think he's anybody's cup of tea.
All right, let's see what other comments we have. All right, Jordan Bub getting us into the next game versus the Bucks. What is that, Monday?
Monday, yeah.
Oh, so we got no weekend. Finally, no Saturday or Sunday games, yo. Oh my gosh. It feels like every week the NBA has been plotting for like me to go into work on Monday with a Knicks loss on my mind. But thankfully we don't have a game on Saturday or Sunday. So Monday versus the Bucks. Jordan Bub asks, well, how do we stop Giannis? Any suggestions? And how did the Knicks attack the Bucks defense?
You don't stop Giannis, and you try to.
I mean, the Hornets. I mean, you gotta ask the Hornets what they did today, because, like, my God. I mean, if you look at that box score,
what?
Yeah,
Tyrese,
you didn't see?
The Hornets were up 84-60 at halftime in Milwaukee.
Yeah, Giannis finished with 9 points after dropping like 40 in like 5 of the last like 7 games or whatever it is. Like, we gotta ask the Hornets whatever they did, and we gotta try and do that. But with the Bucks, I know that their defense is like really like allowing like 3-pointers to be, you know, I mean, LaMelo went 7 for 13, PJ went 5 for 10, and Terry Rozier went 6 for 15. I think that tells you all you need to do against the Bucks, because the Bucks will allow you to shoot as many 3-pointers as possible. It's just a matter of can you hit them. The way Randall's been shooting the 3-ball, hopefully you expect him to continue this. Grimes, you know, some days he can be really aggressive with his shooting, other days he cannot be. Today quickly was 0 for 3 from 3, you know. JB was 3 of 6, so you know, you're just hoping that guys are able to hit their threes against the Bucks, because I feel like that's going to be the great equalizer. That's always the great equalizer in basketball, but I feel like against the Bucks that's like really key because they allow so many threes to be shot anyway, so it's just like yeah,
that's as good a breakdown as you get. I mean, the 3-point shooting is going to matter. Julius Randle's going to matter because if Drew plays, Brunson's going to be in hell.
Yes, that's going to be a rough matchup.
I know you guys don't really like him. I'm a big fan of watching Drew Holiday play basketball. I think he's one of the most talented defenders.
I hate watching him play the other side of the basketball.
Offensive Drew Holiday is a sin.
Second option Drew Holiday, get him out of here.
Ever since that Bucks run to the finals where he's straight up shot the bed against Brooklyn, I do not trust that man with the ball in his hands.
Yeah,
I don't care how good his stats look.
He hit like some of the biggest shots that playoff run though.
He did, which was so weird. It's so weird. Like him and Chris Middleton, they were like shitting themselves for like whole games, and then fourth quarter comes like 2 minutes to go, and they're like magically hitting like every single impossible jumper, making every single defensive stop. It was the weirdest shit ever.
It's just incredibly strange to me that like a team can win a title the way they did. In terms of, you know, beating the Nets in a Game 7 on the road. I know Kyrie and Harden were hurt, but like they still had to win an overtime game on the road against Kevin Durant playing close to the peak of his powers. And then beating a really good Suns team in the final. Like that Suns team was really good, definitely good enough to win a championship. And people came away with it and were like, I'm not sure. I'm still not sure about Giannis and Drew Holiday, who was the second best player easily on a championship team. Not sure about him either. That's just, I don't get that. Like on some level, if you're good enough to be the second best player on a championship team, we shouldn't nitpick and we should just like appreciate that, in my opinion. But my opinion isn't almighty. So
I have lost money betting on Drew Holiday being the second option.
And there it is.
So he can get out of here.
I
I
just cannot trust Drew Holiday. I can't trust him offensively. I really can't do it.
And I mean, today kind of gave you like a little sneak preview in terms of like how the defensive attention is probably going to be on Brunson. I mean, 6 turnovers today. That was pretty rough. You can probably expect a similar output maybe against Drew Holiday, who's going to be way more aggressive than I think than the Raptors were defensively, because I think the Raptors defense was mainly focused on Randall, and even then he still was able to get his shit off.
Yeah.
But I think we saw last time we played the Bucks, it was rough for JB. I mean, between Javon Carter and Drew Holiday, they really made it hard on him.
Yeah.
Those are 2 guys that pester the shit out of him. So
quickly, if he starts, will be important because he's going to get that Grayson Allen assignment. He's got to cook that. Like we need him to be even better than he's been recently. And if RJ is back, we need RJ to be the guy like immediately. So whoever starts next to, in that spot, they're going to be important. Sam, you just reminded me of one thing I wanted to rant about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop the unnecessary double teams. That's going to drive me insane the rest of the season. Just because Scotty Barnes has Jalen Brunson in the post, you don't have to okay, Scotty Barnes is going to shoot a fadeaway 8-footer. If he beats you with a million 8-footers, just let him do that. We don't need to double off him and then leave a 3-point shooter open. It's nonsensical. There can't be another team that doubles earlier and more unnecessarily than the Knicks do. We had one where Randall went and helped Brunson in the corner, led to a wide open dunk underneath. And it's just, I get the principle and I get what Tibbs is trying to do, but we don't need to do it as early and often as we do it. It's incredibly frustrating, and I can't stop seeing it. I can't stand it. We just have to stop it.
It just shows lack of discipline, but lack of trust that that the guy is going to be able to hold his own for that one possession. It's not like you're constantly in a mismatch situation where you need to do that. And like you said, Scotty Barnes, I will more than happily let him take whatever fadeaway jumper he wants to take. That should be part of your defensive game plan of knowing who exactly to double and when. Scotty Barnes, I'm letting him shoot as many fadeaways over Jalen Brunson or whoever as much as he wants. Thank you. That is turnovers basically.
The first time Scotty Barnes uses his size on Jalen Brunson and gets a layup because there wasn't a double, okay, start sending doubles then. The first time he does it, just let him prove that is a matchup worth doubling. And I'm pretty sure when Grimes had him in the post, we were sending doubles. And it's like Tibbs is it's like he's trying to create a culture of effort. And so he's okay, if I send a double, people will start scrambling. They're going to do it or they're not going to play. And I get that, but it's at the same time, it's you have to understand the analytics of the situation, understand shot expectation. Scotty Barnes from 15 feet, he's not going to score at a higher rate than an open 3-point shooter. And it just doesn't make sense. And yeah, I don't know. I don't get
it. All right, so we have Jordan Bob. He says, although shooting 69% from free throw is a nice number, that's a very nice number. In these close games that Knicks will likely be in for the future, if we can't capitalize on the line, we are going to lose big games in the regular season and postseason. Yeah, the free throw shooting is still a little bit of a concern. More so in the postseason. That is when the butts, they get clenched, the balls, they feel heavier. It is going to be, I'm just, thinking about our guys, if they can handle that. Hopefully, these regular season trials by fires can, get these guys prepared for those postseason moments. But yeah, the free throw shooting is very key.
Yeah, we just leave a lot of. So somebody posted that chart on Twitter the other day of like shot quality and shot expectation. And like the Knicks are like near the best in the league in terms of shot quality. But then, so it was like, it was like a graph like that. And so the Knicks were way to the right in terms of shot expectation or shot quality or whatever. And then they were way at the bottom in terms of how they're making the shots. And it's like, we leave a lot of points on the board in terms of shots we miss and free throws we miss. It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, I don't think we talked about this. I don't know if I was here for it. OG Anunoby did nothing tonight.
Yeah, he was a ghost. And like
Anunoby
Wally was on the broadcast, like saying like he's like fringe all-star. I was like, Wally, let's.
I mean, he is, but at the same time, like he's winning Defensive Player of the Year. Him or Jaren Jackson Jr. are winning Defensive Player of the Year, and Julius Randle made him look pedestrian.
So you meant defensively then?
Terry. Yeah, defensively.
It's like his. I mean, the Raptors won his minutes. He was +5. He had 13, 9, 2, and 3 steals. Like,
I just didn't feel him. Like,
yeah, he didn't. I was like, there were points in the game I was like, oh shit, OG Anunoby's playing. Like, oh shit, I didn't like realize he was on the court because like he was like so quiet. But I think like it's like mainly because like guys like Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent were hitting like the most BS shots ever to end the game. So it was just like
that banked in 3 from Fred VanVleet made no sense.
My God.
That is when I was like, all right, here comes the BS. Here comes the BS. Here comes the devil magic. Here it comes.
I've seen some people like I think we all expect the Raptors to like make some trades at some point. I've seen some people like float out the idea of like getting OG Anunoby, and my retort to that is, as much as I love OG Anunoby, what is he doing on this team? Like for the price that he will
also
cost,
like exactly. I was about to bring up the price. Like I've seen like superstar trade packages for OG Anunoby, and thank you Minnesota Timberwolves for absolutely ruining like the expectation of trades now in people's heads, like to the point where they think OG Anunoby is like worth like I don't know however many first round picks unprotected. Like please do bad things to. You know what? I'm not even gonna complete that. Allegedly.
Like I kind of think at this point the expectation is like the bidding war is gonna be so massive for OG Anunoby that like he's gonna get those picks. But like, who's really trading for OG Anunoby unless you're like trying to get over the hump?
The Blazers will. The Blazers are a bad team that would trade for him. They need
problem is like the Blazers don't have the picks to do it, and you're probably giving up like they had the protected pick that they gave up to get Jeremy Grant? It might have been
Jeremy Grant, yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, Josh Hart?
It was somebody. They traded their pick for somebody. And subsequently, they have Jeremy Grant on the roster. So, like, I don't know where they – like, who's trading for OG Anunoby and putting them over the hump? Like, Dallas won't do that because Dallas wants, like, someone like Levine because they need a second – they need a second star. But like,
OG is like in Luka's current form, they don't need a second star because Luka can carry an insane usage, and like he's in the early LeBron stage where he's gonna suppress another star, another initiator, because he soaks up all the usage, all the initiation possessions. OG is like the perfect player to play with Luka in terms of like all-world defender. He can shoot threes and like he can bring you value at an almost elite level without really touching the ball, but he can put the ball on the floor when asked to do it. I mean, I actually think Dallas is an interesting team.
I don't like him putting the ball on the floor is my whole point. Like, I don't think he's that good at it.
I just meant like attacking closeouts and stuff, not like pure initiation.
I think like at that point you probably would like Siakam then. I feel like Siakam would fit that roster a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, Siakam would fit like the Phoenix Suns too. Suns probably trade for Siakam. But,
I mean, Siakam would fit most rosters though.
Suns want to trade for any power forward that can score like 15 points per game at this point. Like
they could have had Julius.
They could have had Julius. Speaking of Julius, I got something for Tyrese to be really annoying. My brother just sent me this. ESPN's real plus minus rankings. Number 1, Luka Doncic. Number two, Jason Tatum. Number 3, Nikola Jokic. Number 4, Julius Randle in the entire NBA. Oh my God.
Also, in the last month, Julius Randle leads the NBA in total points. Him and Luka are tied for number 1 in total points.
I saw on the Macri post game a few nights ago. He also leads the NBA in 3-point attempts, like over the last month or something. That's crazy.
Like for somebody who's 6'9" and a power forward who really made his name playing bully ball to like have the trigger. And I remember I was talking about like he doesn't pull as many threes because he turns them into long twos. He's essentially eliminated the long two from his shot night, turned them all into threes, and he's still shooting 35% on that volume.
And that's the thing. Like we probably haven't praised Randle enough, and I'm being serious. I don't think we've praised Randle enough on this post game. The big difference between what he did 2 years ago and what he's doing now is how he's getting his output. Because none of his shooting percentages are like jumping out at you as like, oh, he can't sustain this. He's shooting below 35% from 3. It's like 34.9%.
It's 35% now.
Yet his true shooting percentage is almost 60% because he's shooting all threes or inside 10 feet or free throws. That's all he shoots now. Like those 10 to 20 footers. I mean, yeah, you see him every now and then, especially down the stretch, but they're pretty much gone. And credit to Julius and credit to Tibbs. Like we all like to hate on Tibbs, but like it's not like Randle went out and like decided to do this himself. There was a plan in motion here, and somebody presumably said to Randle, like, you have to shoot from smarter spots. Here are the spots we want you shooting from. And so kudos to both of them because, you know, Tibbs for giving him the game plan and Randle for embracing it and doing as well as he has with it. Proved me wrong for sure.
Like he's shooting 60% from like the free throw line floater, essentially, which is nuts to think about. And like the 2 years ago, like the baseline fade, he basically doesn't take those anymore. Like the spinning baseline fade that he basically was cashing in from the left side and like missing from the right side, he's essentially turned it to an ad rip attempt, or he's like taken a couple steps back and just made it threes. So like his shot diet has been good. The above the break 3 has been working. I still feel like he has another like good hot streak in him where he just goes crazy for a couple games, and like I think he gets closer to like 36-37%. But yeah, he's just, I think before this year he basically had like 8 games as a Knick where he took more than 10 threes, and now in this season alone he's essentially taking like 10 threes. Like him taking 10 threes isn't weird anymore.
So yeah, Tyrese, I have an article coming out for Strickland on Obi soon, hopefully. And here I basically present the different avenues that we can go with Obi. You know, like we could trade Julius, we could trade Obi, or we could keep them both. And under the trade Julius standpoint, which I come to the conclusion that we're not and we should not trade Julius, I say Randle took a whopping 47% of his shots between 5 feet and the 3-point line in the We Here season. So almost half of his shots basically were mid-range shots. That number is down to 27%. So he's almost cut them in half. And 44% of his shots are threes this year. So he's shooting, which leaves 30% at the rim. So he's cut mid-range attempts in half, and now he's shooting almost 3/4 of his shots either at the rim or from behind the 3-point line. And there's a lot of volatility in whether shots go in or not, as we've seen from Julius Randle's last 2 full seasons. But what there isn't volatility with is if your shot selection is smart. You can control how you shoot, or where you shoot from. And Randle, if he is committed to this style of play, he will be a sustainably very good offensive player for the next 5 years, at least, in my opinion.
He's going to make that contract look like a bargain. Like, it's going to be, like, I don't think people realize it's a 406 base. So if he makes the All-Star team, if it's 4-117, he's made the All-Star team 4 years in a row, and the team has made the playoffs 4 years in a row. That contract looks like a steal. Because like you look at Zach LaVine making 35% of the cap.
Let's not get carried away with 4 All-Star appearances in a row, Tyrese.
I'm saying like if he makes it the max value of the contract,
yeah,
it'll be 4-117, and that means he's made the All-Star team 4 years in a row, and they've made the playoffs 4 years in a row. I don't know if he makes the All-Star team 4 years in a row, but then again, but I think he was gonna make it this year.
4 years in a row.
I didn't think he was gonna make it this year, and he proved me wrong. And if he's gonna keep playing like this, well then,
Tyrese, you know what's gonna be fun? The pod when Randall makes his 5th All-Star game in 6 seasons, and Sam's like, "All right, I was wrong." Like that's when Sam comes to terms with like, "All right."
Dude. Oh my God! At that point, he's the greatest Knicks. He's the greatest Knick of all time. But anyway.
Wow.
Sam's so annoyed.
Wow.
Who's Bernard King? I don't know.
Wow.
Patrick Ewing couldn't do this. Not in this era. He's better than Chris Bosh all time.
Give me a break. Let's not be carried away.
All right, let's start another civil war. Let's start another war with Raptors Twitter. You know.
Raptors Twitter going to war with Chris Bosh still?
Yeah, Raptors Twitter hates Bosh.
Exactly.
Not what I saw when that comment was brought up last
Really?
time. Either them or NBA Twitter was just pissed at like.
Yeah, I think it was NBA Twitter, which is really upset in general, but they're always upset, so whatever.
True.
Also, let's laugh at the Hawks really quickly. They're down 21 to the Lakers.
Oh wow! All right.
The Lakers have kind of. I mean, they'll probably end up blowing it because I said this, but they've kind of.
Yeah, they will. Take Hawks money line live.
LeBron is playing and showcasing himself for New York, so that's all that matters.
Virgil X asks an interesting question. If we saw this from IQ last season, I guess like the starting role and like him producing in the starting role, would Brunson still have happened?
Yes. That was 2 years of tampering. Brunson was going to happen. Like, because there was no downside to not signing him.
I think that, first of all, I sort of take issue with the idea that we didn't see this from Quickly, because if we weren't seeing this IQ, there wouldn't have been so many people like the three of us who every post game were like, Quickly needs to play more. Quickly needs to play more. Like, we weren't just making that up. It was just so. Yes, he's improved. Specifically, he's improved from like 0 to 10 feet, but I feel very strongly about the fact that we did see this Quickly last season, and he should have started, and he should have been able to create a meaningful, do we need a point guard or do we just roll with Quickly conversation. He wasn't allowed to do that. I'm really happy we have Brunson, so whatever. I mean, I guess it worked out. And I agree with Tyrese that we would have gotten Brunson anyway because of the Leon Rose connection.
Okay. Fair. Menno F asked, he asked, but yeah. It baffles me that people needed to these last however many starts to see how impactful IQ is. How do you think his minutes will look when RJ is back?
I hope they at least are in the high 20s, if not 30s, but I expect them to be around 24 to 28.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with him playing like 28 minutes a night. So
28 would be fine. If I would sign for 28 right now on the dotted line. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be more in the 20 to 24 range. Which is
you can't do that. Because at that point, like, you're gonna start hearing leaks.
I mean, that how many games? I don't have the schedule up. How many games ago was that Sixers Christmas Eve game? What was it like 10 games ago? Probably 10 games ago.
Sixers Christmas game?
Yeah, that was like 8 games ago, right?
A couple, not sure.
So we lost 5 in a row, and the Sixers game was the 3rd game in that losing streak. So that would be 3. So that would be a Sixers game, then 2 more losses, and then now we've won 4 games in a row. So it was 6 games ago. Yeah. So we're only 6 games removed from and I'm thinking about this because it popped up on Twitter today. Some random non-Knicks fan posted a video of Quickly playing an amazing defensive possession and said, "Boy, I love watching Emmanuel Quickly play defense." It was in that Sixers game, and my first thought was, because Sam tweeted about it when the game happened, he said, "I remember your tweet, Sam. You were like, how the hell do you take Emmanuel Quickly out after what just happened?" He pulled him with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And wouldn't you know it, it was immediately after that 24-second shot clock violation the Knicks forced. Tibbs was like, oh, got to get Quickly out of there. Got to get Grimes back in. Quickly was better than Grimes that game, and Quickly played 22 minutes, including not playing a single minute in the last 8 minutes until maybe there was an injury. Maybe Brunson got hurt. I don't know.
Brunson got hurt, and
Right.
then that's when Quickly came back in, or else he was going to finish the game with like, what, 21 minutes played or something like
No,
that?
less. He was going to be like 18. It would have been, yeah, because he played the last 4 minutes. So, yeah, he would have, he had 18 minutes played when he checked out, and he wasn't going to play another minute unless Brunson got hurt. That was 6 games ago. So, I get Quickly's been good. We all love Quickly. Tibbs is just going to have to prove to us that he can play Quickly 28 minutes off the bench before I believe that it's going to happen. I think that he likes his rotations. He likes overtaxing the starters. He believes in that. And I think that I'm worried that Quickly is going to go back to 18 to 22 minutes a night when he's not starting.
Sadly. So back to the Bucks. Andrew Claudio of Knicks Film School. Shout out to him for pulling up. He says Bucks are low-key beatable. Started 9-0, 16-14 cents. Keep up the great work, fellas. Thank you, Andrew. The Bucks. I mean, the Bucks, they always seem to have our number. Like some opponents, like no matter how bad the team is at the moment, like even when the Nets were like in the midst of their spiral, like they still like beat the shit out of us. Like, so like I just like some opponents, I just don't trust us to beat them, no matter like how beatable they seem. But you know, I mean, we'll see. It depends on who's playing for the Bucks that night too, because the Bucks, they have a weird thing where like some nights they'll rest dudes. Like sometimes Giannis will be out with like a knee injury. It's like really just rest for him. So we'll see who plays. It's gonna be an MSG, so I assume Giannis will want to play. But yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna get a little crazy here, Sam.
all right.
Not only do I think that the Knicks can beat the Bucks, and the last 2 seasons we've had a couple of really nice games against the Bucks. The huge comeback at Milwaukee, and then the game at the start of the We Here season when Elf and Frank each hit 5 threes when we just blitzed the Bucks. That was a stupid game. I think if I was creating, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this. I think if I was creating tiers of teams I want to see in the playoffs, let's say we're the 6th seed. Teams I want to be the 3 seed. I think the Bucks would be in the top tier. I think the Bucks and Cleveland would be the 2 teams I'd want to play the most.
Yeah.
And then the Celtics and Nets would be the 2 teams I'd want to play the least.
Yeah.
I probably lean more towards the Cavs. I just like our matchup against them better. I just think Giannis is just gonna like absolutely beat our skulls, and like once it turns into playoffs, I feel like Giannis just like turns into like a different like animal. I mean, he's already been beasting in the regular season this year, but like he's someone I just don't want to see in the postseason.
Yeah, there's definitely an outcome where we just get blitzed because they hit a bunch of threes. But going back to what I was saying earlier in the show, I just kind of trust Tibbs to create a defensive scheme that'll at least make Giannis work for his production. He'll build a wall and trust our ability to scramble. And I'm not saying we're going to shut Giannis down. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't believe in that. I think Giannis would get his. But if you have to choose, I actually think that we have a better chance of relatively stopping Giannis because he's a slightly more exploitable offensive player than we do of stopping Durant or Tatum. I just don't think we have any chance of stopping Durant or Tatum. And so I agree with you about the Cavs. I think the Cavs would be number 1 team I'd want to play. I think that would be really interesting just because of we almost got Mitchell, didn't get him, that whole thing. It also has the potential to be very unbearable because you know that subset of Knicks fans is just waiting to talk about how, oh, see, I told you should have traded for him. Yada, yada.
Yeah, they couldn't wait. I mean, the other day when he dropped 71, they were all like wiping their tears on the timeline of like, we didn't get those Mitchell. Oh man, I'm gonna cause bodily harm to myself. It's like they're so ridiculous. It's like, get a grip. Like, I was able to watch the performance without having any tears in my eyes. I was able to just enjoy good basketball. You know, a lot of Knicks fans should like try that. Like, we have a good team going, and you know, the Cavs have something good going, and you know, both
And
can exist.
It's a very disingenuous thing too, because they're acting like we would be this team and then add Donovan Mitchell to it. But
Yeah,
no,
it's like, no,
a
we'd be
lot of
gutting like half of this roster to like get him.
exactly. A lot
Gutting
of
half the rotation that's actually like producing right now.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh well, you know, some fans, you know, they just like to be
Yeah.
miserable.
Yep.
I say
Thanks
this
for the
as-
comment, Andrew. You guys do great
Yes.
work too.
Yes, thank you. I say the miserable comment as like someone who used to do this post game like on the verge of like wanting to end it all, but allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. There was this one game last year where like I was totally like defeated. I don't remember which game it was. I think it was like a Nets game, maybe. It was one of the games where
it had to be the Nets game when we were up 29, no KD, no Kyrie, no Simmons, and we
Yeah, I
blew
think
a
it
29
was.
point lead.
I think it was, but yeah. I mean, that was a rightful like reason to be miserable, not like, oh my gosh, like this guy that we should have traded for just like went off against like this total other team, not even against us. Because like people were talking about the Donovan Mitchell thing, like he scored the 71 versus us. He beat the shit out of the Bulls. We should all be like rejoicing because like F the Bulls and their fans because they were talking hella cash shit last year. But yeah. All right. I think this is a good place to end before we really get off the deep end. Myself included. I think the cough medicine is getting to me. But yeah, we'll be back on Monday night after the Knicks play the Bucks. Hopefully we get another win, extend this winning streak. You know, let's get another win streak rolling. Let's get the vibes back up in the fan base. Facing the Bucks. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're on our way to 1K subs, so you know all that you do helps us out a ton. Shout out to everyone that left a comment. Tons of comments tonight. We weren't able to get to all of them, but we had a pretty great discussion about the Knicks going forward and you know how they can approach this season. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. You know, helps us out a ton with growing the channel. Check out everything Strickland related in the description if you haven't already. Links to the Patreon, merch, Twitter, and
merch. Sam, this is the new Strickland mellow sweatshirt.
Oh, 3 to the Dome.
Yeah, such a sick hoodie. This is, dude. If you're gonna buy a hoodie and you're a Knicks fan, and like even if you don't want to, you know, this isn't like obvious it's Strickland. If you're, you know. If you just want sick Knicks gear, this is like you're just supporting Melo, man. Like, you know, like this is.
Yep. If you're a Melo fan, right there for you. But yep, we got links to the merch, we got links to the site, Twitter, and Patreon. All great ways to support us. We will catch you guys on Monday. Peace out.